Hey, it's Nick Holland with This Week in Fraud. Interpol published its annual fraud threat assessment last week, and the headline number is 442 billion. That's what financial fraud cost us globally in 2025. And I know I talk a lot about numbers for fraud, and I think a little context exercise is useful because we hear very often the words millions and billions in our daily lives, and humans are particularly bad at picturing orders of magnitude. So imagine that you went to your local bank, and do a little exercise here for you. So you go to your local bank and say, hello, teller, I would like to make a withdrawal of $1 million, please. And I'll take them in ones. Could you please count them out? So let's suppose this local bank of yours is A, very tolerant, and B, they have that many dollar bills in the bank. And the teller, so let's call him Nigel, he starts counting out these ones at a rate of $1 a second. So I hope you got your sleeping bag with you and a good book, because Nigel will take about 11 days to count out those $1 million. So let's up this a little bit. So let's now go to the same bank and say, hey, Nige, let's now withdraw $1 billion. And our very understanding teller, Nigel's going to need some generational help here, because him counting out $1 billion in cash is going to take nearly 32 years. So it's that much bigger. So just that's the first part of the exercise. So think, obviously, millions and billions, very, very different, but we hear them interchangeably quite often because it's just a letter that's changing. Anyway, so now let's look at the cost of fraud in 2025. So again, if we were counting out the dollar bills for that 442 billion, that would take us 14,144 years. So the year would be 16,170 by the time we counted that out. So it's that big. So, back to the present day. So what's behind these staggering fraud figures? Well, clearly the scam center model is massive. The compounds in Southeast Asia where trafficked workers are forced to run investment and romance scams has gone from a regional problem to a global industry. By the end of 2025, victims trafficked into these operations came from nearly 80 countries. There's now confirmed centers in the Middle East, West Africa, and South America. And one single operation in Zambia defrauded 65,000 people of $300 million. So these aren't loosely organized criminal groups anymore. It's clearly a supply chain. There is progress being made in terms of countermeasures. So last year's coordinated operations were impressive by any measure. 32,000 arrests, 68,000 bank accounts blocked, and 439 million recovered. Interpol stopped payment mechanism processed over 1,000 requests. But 439 million recovered against 442 billion lost is a recovery rate of less than 0.1%. Interpol's own forward projection is that things are going to get significantly worse before they get better, because the barriers to entry for running these operations keep falling and international legal frameworks haven't caught up. For anyone working in financial services, the report's bluntest finding is that traditional fraud detection methods and prevention messaging has been rendered largely ineffective. That's the starting point for any budget conversation, every vendor review, and every board update that you have this year. So again, 442 billion, the equivalent of over 14,000 years in dollar bills. That's This Week in Fraud, and I'm Nick Holland. Catch you later.